With the upcoming holiday, I decided to take a break from the spooky poots and cover something a little more relevant. Valentine's Day is a movie about the meaning of the holiday, directed by Gary Marshall, and features more stars than are in the known universe. Personally, I've never really been a fan of the holiday, but let's see if the movie can change my mind as we fall head over heels into this picture. Our story opens with a fella who wants to start the morning off right with a healthy, balanced marriage proposal.
When I was a kid, most of the advice that my dad gave me was crap. So,
Wow.
She said yes!
And that's enough of that, because we have to go see Jamie Foxx's character Kelvin get an assignment to go interview people about the meaning of the holiday.
It gives me acid reflux. That's what it means.
Oh, no we don't, because now Ashton Kutcher's character Reed is at a flower shop where everybody just thinks he's swell.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Morley said yes.
Great news, huh?
Oh, hey, there's Kelvin. He's made it just in time to give Reed some free press.
Kelvin Moore here. How many red roses do you sell on Valentine's Day?
The captain and Tanya were married on Valentine's Day.
What's that you said?
The captain and Tanya were married.
110 million red roses are sold in America every Valentine's Day. I own Sienna Bouquet.
And that's enough of that, because we have to be introduced to storyline number 3, as Jennifer Gardner's character Julia is bidding Dr. Boyfriend adieu.
You do have a flaw after all. Your job.
I thought women liked doctors.
The flying around everywhere is not so good.
I'm only going to San Francisco for one night. When I'm fixing his heart, you can hold mine.
Are you getting to know these characters? Well, that's too bad, because we're about to be slapped in the face by storyline number 4. What the? Who does that? So I guess she's a photographer? Nope! She's a fantasy phone operator. And she doesn't care who knows it.
I just couldn't wait. I didn't have a free hand. You know just how Katya likes it. Do you want to have a threesome?
If he says yes, it'll take me a minute to change.
Well, I'd like to know where the heck that lady is going in her PJs, but we've got to head over to storyline number 5 and 6, where we see some grandparents showing us what the true meaning of Valentine's Day is, and their grandson who's bummed because his card-making partner isn't around anymore.
We said we were not going to give each other presents this year.
I know I lied.
So did I.
This is really a hard day for him.
Because they used to make handcrafted cards together.
But who cares? Because Taylor Swift is in this movie for some reason.
Oh boy. Oh. Hi.
Wow, I'm sure her storyline is really gonna add a lot to this picture.
So my boyfriend texted me this morning, and he was like, look outside your door. But you know, I look outside my door, but there's like this giant white bear.
Yeah, the bear's
Yeah,
there.
on the ground. Isn't that like the sweetest thing ever in this building? Because I see you in the lobby all the time. All right, well, I'm gonna go to school now.
And then we pop into storyline number 8, featuring Julia Roberts and Bradley Cooper on a plane.
Where the weather is expected to be warm and sunny after 3 days of rain.
Riveting. Finally, we get a minute to put a few things together when Julia visits Reed at his flower shop, and she reacts to his good news the way a best friend should.
Well, you just sounded like... You sounded like maybe she said...
Yes. She said yes. Why doesn't anybody have any confidence? What is this?
Yes?
But just as she calls her romantic interest to see what he's up to, Dr. Boyfriend's darkest secret is revealed to us.
I'll call you when I land, okay?
Okay, I get it. Okay, have a safe flight. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
And that's enough of that storyline. How are things on the plane?
You have a loved one in LA?
Fantastic! Back on the ground with the rest of the movie, we see that Reed's balanced proposal breakfast isn't digesting well.
That is one empty hand.
Right now, it'd be better
Maybe we could just keep it a secret.
Storylines cross a little when we see that Edison, the little boy from earlier, has arrived at the flower shop to buy gifts for his Valentine. This gives us an opportunity to see what a gosh darn nice guy Reed is.
I'd like to send a dozen of those to the best girl at my school.
Thank you, sir.
What's up with the cutest kid in the world?
Hey, remember our favorite fantasy phone operator? Well, she's at it again in a professional setting, being super unprofessional.
No, I don't mind people with fetishes. No, very creative people. I gotta put you on hold, sorry.
Her boss confronts her in a way that explains why fantasy phone operator felt like this was the place to moonlight.
Who's on hold?
My mother. I'm sorry?
Hangs up on her own mother. That's cold. You might just get along.
Hey, we're 30 minutes into the movie. That's a quarter of the way. I bet you're settling in and starting to get a feel for the 8 storylines so far, right? Well, fuck that, because here's another character and a brief introduction to storyline number 9.
What will Sean Jackson do? His contract is up. Will he make this easier on everyone and just retire?
Come on, Hannah.
Did you soak in that new flavor? Good, because he introduces us to another new character who comes completely with her own storyline.
I'm coming! Yes, hello!
Hello? No, I'm here. I'll be at the meeting.
So that should do it for new characters and the... No. Here come more characters and their own cringy storyline.
How about today at lunch?
Today at lunch, I'm gonna have sex with my boyfriend for the first time.
But it's okay, because Taylor Swift is here with her boyfriend, Taylor Lautner, to remind us that Valentine's gifts aren't really appreciated unless they're purchased with cold, hard cash.
Did you like your gift?
It's my track shirt.
I ironed on your lucky number on the back.
But that's your lucky number.
You don't even like it.
I love it.
Try it on now, then.
A little uncomfortable taking my shirt off in public.
Gee, I'm really glad we're getting a chance to dig into these characters and watch them develop. Speaking of which, let's get some quality time to get to know some of our newer characters.
They've passed.
Passed. We got to the playoffs.
They decided to go another way. They're chasing that kid from Alabama.
I'm working on it. We look for another team.
I'm speaking as your fan.
Yep, I couldn't possibly feel more connected to them. Could you? What about some of our veteran characters? How are they doing?
Come on. That's 7 in a row.
It's amazing.
You are like...
Good. The story is progressing. Speaking of being progressive, we see that Dr. Boyfriend has gone to Reed's flower shop to order flowers for his 2 special ladies, and Reed isn't super cool with his friend being involved in such a modern arrangement.
Okay, this Julia Fitzpatrick, that would be your girlfriend. Pamela Copeland, would that be your wife?
Yes.
Next, we get to see some very rare human behavior as the boy from our most recently introduced storyline performs a pre-love ritual.
Oh, Grace.
But alas, he's startled by one of the village elders, and his ritual comes to an abrupt end.
Oh, Alex! Oh my God, Miss Alex, honey, cover your hoo-hoo!
Then our favorite fantasy phone operator gets busted at work by her boss.
There's a man online, too, asking me to cover him up in Vaseline and bubble wrap. You got away with dirty words. I like that.
Don't have to worry about it.
Oh no! Our football star is distracted by all the other storylines.
He was hiring.
It's okay though, because George Lopez is here to be the sage minority and get him back on track.
To some people, love doesn't exist unless you acknowledge it in front of other people.
You're a superstar, Sean. Drive better.
As he leaves the scene of the accident, he imparts some of his wisdom on us with a subtle message about consumerism. But he's not done yet. He's got to give one last drop of advice to Reed.
So what do? Do I tell her and break her heart, or do I just keep it to myself and stay out of it because it's really none of my business anyway?
Well, I think you have to ask yourself, if the situation was reversed, what would you want her to do?
Unfortunately, that doesn't really work, and Reed fumbles his way into causing chaos in Julia's classroom.
Hey guys, this is my friend Reed.
Recess! Let's party!
You afraid he's gonna steal me away?
No, he came in.
Because listen,
he came into the
this
shop.
I
can't talk right now!
When school lets out, we see that the girl from earlier, Grace, is Edison's babysitter, and that Julia and the sports agent know each other. But there isn't any time for that, because Reed has to go surprise his girlfriend. Little does he know, he's about to get his own surprise.
I'm sorry. I love you. But I'm just not ready for this kind of commitment.
Hi, baby. Carmine, come here. Okay.
When even his dog doesn't want to be with him, he goes back to George Lopez, who inspires him to go after Julia. Unfortunately, she doesn't get his calls because she's busy creeping out airport security.
To visit my boyfriend, it's a surprise. I surprised my husband once. Now he's my ex-husband. Oh, that sucks. Yes, they never touch security, ma'am.
Reed finally makes it to the airport and, after dealing with a persnickety associate, he finally tells her everything he knows about Dr. Boyfriend, but his efforts fall flat and he's scolded by security.
Where are your shoes? Are you okay?
He's married.
I'm sorry about Morley, but I'm going to see my boyfriend.
Sir, what kind of man takes his shoes off and leave them off in public? Now, you know, it's some nasty stuff on these floors, sir.
Whoop! Looks like Kelvin realized he's supposed to be in another storyline, and his cameraman takes over as correspondent.
It's my day.
Ah, geez. Looks like the other storyline needed Kelvin after all, as we see that our spunky sports agent has succumbed to her own melancholy.
Valentine's Day, not so good.
They have a connection, and she invites him to her party, but we've officially spent over 3 minutes with them, so the movie decides it's time to move on. Turns out, Calvin's cameraman has made it to the local high school to interview the Taylors.
Ooh, I miss high school.
Sir, step away from the children.
Edison's babysitter has a conversation with his grandparents that upsets them so much, they don't see their grandson trying to escape the film.
Alex and I were supposed to have sex today. And it's not like I'm gonna sleep with one person for the rest of my life, right? I mean, that's just crazy. Who does that? Sorry, I need to call you back.
His babysitter decides to handle this on her own and doesn't bother alerting his guardians whatsoever because she's responsible. While she's hunting him down, we find out what triggered his grandma so super hard.
Remember when you went away to Florida to build the apartments? Remember that? And you were gone a very long time. It wasn't anything at first. And,
You had an affair.
yes.
Oh, So, how's that flight to LA going?
Get anything? A bag of pretzels, please.
Cool. Next, we see that Julia makes it to the hospital where Dr. Boyfriend said he'd be. And while creeping out some of the nurses, she gets a heapin' helping of disappointment.
I'm looking for Dr. Copeland. Is he here tonight? Look, can I ask you a question? Just woman to woman.
Okay.
Is Dr. Copeland married?
They just celebrated their 15th anniversary.
Jeez, does anyone else have any secrets?
I haven't been able to live the life I want to. I'm gay.
I knew it!
I guess that would have surprised me if we'd gotten to know him more, but it would have surprised me almost as much to know that he was straight, or if he wanted to be a chef, or any basic character-defining thing. But we only know him as some random, mildly disgraced football player. This is supposed to be one of the biggest twists in the film, but it falls flat because it's not like we knew any contradicting information about him. Yeah, he talks to other women, but people talk to people. If he'd been in a relationship, or been out on dates with women, or there were pictures of him with women on magazines or something even, this would have been more shocking. But it's not. Whatever. He's been on screen for almost 2 minutes and we haven't got a second more to spare on him because we have to go see Julia creep out Dr. Boyfriend, his wife, and an entire restaurant full of Valentine's guests.
Tonight, the chef is featuring a dish that he likes to call the lime stinking pig. He starts by off the pig's testicles and he chops them up really finely, teeny tiny pieces. And he pulverizes them and adds in a little arugula, some sage, feta cheese, back up the pig's, well, for lack of a better word, ass.
As Sports Guy's agent arrives at her anti-VD party, we see that fantasy phone operator and her date are having a profound conversation that gets interrupted by her job.
Jason, I really like you. And I'm gonna take this outside.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
At the airport, Julia Roberts finally landed and she's having trouble finding a ride to her Valentine. Luckily, Bradley Cooper helps her out, but that's no fun. Let's check on how Fantasy Phone Girl's date is going.
Sugar and your little kitty cat. Oh, we're gonna lick you all up and down. Scratchy little tongues going up and down.
Her date doesn't take that well and goes to a cemetery to watch a movie and happens to run into the broken-hearted granddad from before.
Oh, well, you know I had the extra ticket, so.
Valentine's Day, well, there's got to be a story there.
Yeah, not a good one. Pretty much the worst Valentine's Day story of all time.
You want to bet?
Edison catches Reed while he's closing up shop, and the friendly florist gives him something special for his Valentine. But there's no time for that, because Julia is back to creep out another restaurant full of people at her friend's party.
Now that's open heart surgery.
Sad Grandpa and Fantasy Phone Operator's date bond over lady troubles at the cemetery movie, while Calvin livens up the anti-VD party, and Edison's service folk get acquainted. But the introductions are kept brief as we get pulled back into the cemetery to catch the grandparents ruining a movie.
Down in front!
Edgar, where are you? I know you're out there.
Who the hell is Edgar?
He is my husband, and shut your mouth. Edgar, answer me! Listen to me. I know I let you down, and maybe you don't think I deserve your forgiveness, but you're going to give it to me anyway. Because when you love someone, you love all of them. That's the job.
I know that now.
Aww, what a passionate and romantic speech. It might be more meaningful if it were the only one in the film, but we're about to dive right into a lake of these, continuing with Edison finally delivering his gift to his Valentine.
This is for you.
For me?
You're my Valentine. Is it our age difference that keeps you from going boom, boom, boom?
Yeah, a little bit.
But Julia counters with her own little speech and sends him into the arms of someone more age-appropriate.
Here, happy Valentine's Day. I don't usually go for girls my own age, but you're pretty cool. I don't really have anything else to say.
Outside, Grace the babysitter has plenty to say and gives her own little speech when she meets up with her boyfriend, who happens to be a delivery boy for this popular establishment.
I don't know if I'm ready for this. Something like this you can't just plan, you know? It has to happen. We shouldn't have to make it happen.
We can still make out.
Even Queen Boss Latifah has some beautiful things to say.
Kneel to Nzinga!
And Bradley Cooper gives us all a Valentine's Day gift by keeping his mouth shut for the first time in the whole movie. Oh! Inspired by Edison's grandpa, Fantasy Phone Girl's Valentine decides he needs to make his own speech, and nothing else.
If you want to be a adult phone entertainer, that's cool. You're stupid if you turn your back on something as important as love.
friends. We should be getting to the end of this thing, right? Who are we forgetting? Oh, that's right. Whatever happened to Reed and Julia?
I'm about to kiss my best friend.
Not great.
It's awkward. Awkward.
Just not great.
Yep.
Oh, Julia Roberts finally gets home to her Valentine.
Mommy!
That was cute, right? It probably would have been cuter if it hadn't been sandwiched between that and this.
Did you imagine it better or worse?
I did.
Than that? You imagined it better.
I gave you more credit.
And raise your glass to those three little words that we all want to hear. Let's get naked.
And that was Valentine's Day. Whew, I'm exhausted. Probably because it was so hard to keep up with all those cuts. We literally had less than 5 minutes at a time with all the characters, and the editing was so erratic it was nearly impossible to care about the characters or the story at all. This film was trying to be like Love Actually in that way, but those were intimate portraits of characters that were well acted and written. I didn't include it because it would have made things a lot more hectic, but the movie also featured a lot of vignettes that were supposed to show lovey-dovey stuff, but just ended up feeling like out-of-place filler. Between those and the narrator, it was even easier to get disconnected from the goings-on completely. Also, I really don't get what the Taylors added to this film, other than potential ticket sales. Their storyline ends with Girl Taylor giddy after a date they had, when it was clear that she was kind of oblivious to Boy Taylor's feelings and such, but that's never discussed. There was no reason to set it up, and it was a complete waste when that time could have been used to help attach us to some of the other characters. And I still don't get what the message of the movie is. I would say that it's true love conquers all and that honesty is the best policy. But if that were true, Julia would have gone for Reed at the airport instead of needing to see that Dr. Boyfriend was unavailable before essentially falling back on Reed. It was just a bunch of mixed messages. Overall, this movie is the perfect example of a bad Valentine. Thanks for watching!
Valentine's Day was a massacre in Chicago where they shot everybody and put a curse on the Chicago Cubs.